I know who you are, the Holy One of God. That statement on the lips of a disciple, if you or I were to say that to Jesus, that would be a great statement of faith. Or think of the apostles when they first encountered the risen Lord and they bowing before him and saying, I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Or imagine for a moment Mary and Joseph gazing upon the infant Jesus and whispering tenderly, I know who you are, the Holy One of God. But that's not what we see in the gospel, right? The statement comes from an unclean spirit. Isn't that kind of weird that an unclean spirit tells the truth about who Jesus is? And an unclean spirit is the same as a fallen angel or a demon. So from them, it's not a statement of faith. It's a true statement. It's an accurate statement of who Jesus is, but it's not a statement of faith because the demons, like Satan himself, are hell-bent. And I can say that literally, They are hell-bent on opposing Jesus. They are hell-bent on contradicting his teaching. Now, ironically, the disciples who are following Jesus do not know what the demons know. And the crowd that was astounded and amazed at his teaching with authority, they don't have a clue yet who Jesus is. Throughout the centuries, many people have accepted Jesus as a great teacher. They've been inspired by his teachings, but they have not come to know him as the Holy One of God. And so I want to reflect with you for a few moments on how did you come to know Jesus as the Holy One of God? It's kind of like, how did you come to make that transition from knowing about Jesus to knowing Jesus, right? We can know all kinds of things about Jesus without really knowing him as the Holy One of God. And how did you come to understand his teachings? Perhaps you were like me. I grew up in a Catholic home, and so I learned from my parents. I attended Sunday Mass. I had religion class at school. And I had a supportive and encouraging Catholic culture around me. I saw most of the kids from school at Sunday Mass. I was altar boy with most of the boys from my grade. And I saw all my neighbors at a Sunday Mass. And so faith was just part of my life. When I left high school, though, that kind of started to change. I went to work in a logging camp, and perhaps you already know this, but lumberjacks aren't known for being the most supportive and encouraging Christian men kind of thing. And so I had some struggles in my faith, even though I had this great Catholic foundation. Fortunately for me, I went on a weekend retreat and met some other young people who were trying to live their faith. Some of them were way ahead of me in their spiritual life, and some of them were just starting to learn about Jesus and who he is. But together we were able to talk about our faith, share about our struggles, and encourage one another to keep living our faith in Jesus as the Holy One of God. Over the years, I've come to understand that this getting together, this encouraging one another, is part of God's plan. It's his idea for us, his children. Take, for example, what we're doing here. Right? We come together to celebrate our faith. We come together to encourage each other in our belief that Jesus is the Holy One of God, truly present in the Eucharist. Right? Us getting together to do this is Jesus' idea. At the Last Supper, he said, "Do this in memory of me." Now, for those of you who aren't able to be here, that's a hardship, not to gather with us. I've heard that from so many people, that they miss being here. They long to be here with us. And without that encouragement of coming together and sharing our faith, and this sharing our faith can also happen virtually through technology, but without this coming together to share our faith, chances are our faith won't grow. It won't, it's hard to keep a vibrant faith without that sharing with others. In fact, without that sharing our faith with others, our faith will probably plateau or maybe even start to grow a bit dim. And the reality around us is that we no longer have that supportive Catholic culture. How many of your co-workers or neighbors or fellow students at school or even family members no longer practice their Catholic faith? And so we need to be intentional about gathering together to encourage one another. We need to be intentional about finding ways to talk together, to share together about our faith. We need to be intentional about looking out for others and encouraging them in their faith. So often I've heard people say that their faith just took such a boost when they attended a weekend retreat or a Catholic conference or participated in a Bible study or some other faith formation series where they had that interchange, that dialogue about their faith with others. I want to pause here and play a video for you of a parishioner sharing her experience of being encouraged in her faith by participating in our Alpha course just this past fall.
My name is Ann Hennessy, and I have been a member of Holy Trinity Parish for 31 years. 2 years ago when Alpha was advertised in our church, and my friend asked me if I would like to go with her, and I said, no, I don't think so. I don't like driving after dark. Plus, I was already a Christian, and that was just, more teaching I didn't think I needed. And we just let it go at that. Then after COVID, and it came online, this same friend phoned me and asked me if I would like to try it online. Well, I was thirsty then, I wanted something, but I said to her, I'm not good on the computer. She said, well, I'm sure they'll talk you through it. It was very scary at first. I'm a senior, and the computer for me was a way of contacting the grandkids and different things. So I didn't know if I'd be able to do Zoom. Zoom was a way we made the cars go fast for the children. It was a noise we made. So I talked to Tammy, and she emailed, and then the first night of Zoom, I had to call her in a panic. I couldn't get on, and she just calmed me down and open your email, put your finger on the link, and there I was. And after 3 or 4, I felt really comfortable. First of all, the anticipation of being with other Christians and talking about the Lord. And I enjoyed the fact that we invited the Holy Spirit to be with us. The videos were good, and the discussions about the videos afterwards with our group was really good. I feel like I turn to prayer more now instead of frustration, and I think of God first. I've always had a good prayer life, but Alpha made me realize that the Lord is there for me every day, all day long. Yes, I would invite others to Alpha. I want them to know that if they're young or older like me, they can do Alpha. The feeling of connection with online Alpha means that I don't feel alone.
Thank you, Anne, for stepping out in faith and sharing your faith experience with us, and how your experience of Alpha really did encourage your faith. And thank you also for the encouragement to invite others, even if technology might be a bit intimidating for them. I also want to thank Anne's friend, whoever that is, for inviting her not just once but twice, and persuading her to participate. This past summer, I had a unique opportunity to meet a few of my neighbors. My hobby is cutting down trees. Now, just for the record, I just don't go around randomly cutting down trees. I have people ask me to cut down trees in their property, and I like to cut them down and turn them into firewood for them. And so this summer, I was cutting in one neighbor's backyard, and it's kind of a funny thing when when you start up a chainsaw and trees start crashing down, other neighbors come out to see what's going on. And so I got to cut trees in another neighbor's front yard and the next door neighbor's backyard, and got to know these people, didn't know them before, and really great bunch of people. Enjoyed spending time with them and being around them. And I was curious about where they were at in faith, and I would have liked to share my faith with them as well, but I just didn't know how to introduce that topic, how to broach that. It just seemed awkward, even though they knew that I was a priest. Now, I suppose I could have just, blurted out and asked them, do you know that Jesus is the Holy One of God? Now, that might have worked considering that I was packing 3 chainsaws, right? But instead of taking that route, I've invited them to Alpha. And so I'm just so grateful for Alpha that it takes away that awkwardness of having meaningful conversations about the important things of life, but also meaningful conversations about faith and what people believe. And so I don't know if how many of them will attend our Alpha, but I'm praying that those who do have an experience of exploring what they believe, that they come to learn more about Jesus' teachings and perhaps deepen their understanding of who he is as the Holy One of God. So if you haven't yet participated in Alpha, I hope that you felt personally invited by Anne's sharing today of her experience, especially if you might be like her, and for you, Zoom is the sound that you make with little cars for the kids. And if you've already taken Alpha, I hope that you are encouraged to invite someone, perhaps for the second or third or 7th time, and just to extend that invitation. Someone might say yes. Now, whether you are way ahead in your spiritual life or you're just learning about your faith, just learning about Jesus' teachings, Alpha is a great place to gather with others. Gather with others to talk and share about your faith, to be encouraged yourself in your faith, and also to be there to encourage others in their faith.